Zionists are having an absolute meltdown because the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court has finally sought an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. He released an ominous video saying that Israel has intentionally and systematically been carrying out war crimes against the people of Gaza.
On the basis of evidence collected and examined by my office, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of the State of Palestine.
He then went on to mention starvation of civilians as a method of warfare as a war crime, willfully causing great suffering or serious injury to body or health, cruel treatment as a war crime, willful killing and murder, intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population, extermination and or murder as a crime against humanity, and other inhumane acts as crimes against humanity. Dr. Altikriti shared his thoughts.
Now, whilst I have warned, as well as many others have warned, that the world might shift from blaming the Zionist state and the driving racist, supremacist ideology that is organic and intrinsic to it to blaming Netanyahu solely and maybe some of his generals for the crimes and genocide committed over the course of the 7.5 months. This is an incredibly important step. First of all, the international community is showing finally, way too late in my estimation, that it has some teeth. And that's important, of course. But also, now that he is wanted, he's a man who's basically on the run, and he's wanted by the ICC, I wonder what the stand of those who claim to be close to him, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, who have backed him, who have welcomed him, promising him weapons and arms, where do they stand now exactly? And will he be welcomed again in any of the world's major capitals, especially in ours here in London?
There are a few important things that Dr. Anas mentioned that we need to unpack here. There is a concern amongst many that this is simply throwing Netanyahu under the bus for the crimes of Zionism and white supremacy as a whole. Netanyahu was politically toast even before October 7th, and this can be read as the neo-colonial elites of the world dispensing with him to save their own selves. But there's also another thing which has caused a lot of outrage, and the pro-Zionists and anti-Zionists are in agreement here. The ICC's prosecution hasn't asked judges to issue arrest warrants just for Netanyahu and his defense minister. They're also both siding it, stuffing in some senior Palestinian resistance leaders for good measure too, to even it out, a bit like using human shields, saying that they're guilty of war crimes too. It's obvious why many anti-Zionists have criticized the two-siding of this, which is practically in the dictionary now, equating resistance to illegal occupation with the occupation itself. One spokesperson said, equating the victim and the executioner will only allow genocide to continue. But the Zionists have been outraged because the prosecutors had the audacity to compare the pure, superior, democratic, liberal master races to the despicable, subhuman Palestinian Amalek animals. Some people are always outraged when people who look like this are taken to courts meant for people who look like this. I wonder why. Either way, the rewriting of history has already begun. People in our media and political classes have already started to change their tune and try to rewrite history, claiming that they were anti-genocide all along and calling for balance and proportionality and obeying the rule of law, when they were in fact providing political, narrative, diplomatic, financial and media cover and support for genocide. Tayyib Ali, the director for the ICJP, the International Center of Justice for Palestinians, who has been preparing war crimes cases against our own politicians and even media commentators, said today, "We will not allow those that supported war crimes in Gaza to rewrite their roles. We started our investigation on 9th October. We collected evidence of those in the UK that were complicit in Israeli suspected war crimes. We will be holding politicians and commentators who are complicit to account. This is not a game where you get to pretend you were not involved in the murder of thousands. Justice is coming for you too." Allahu Akbar. Overall, this is being read indeed as another win by the Global South, trying to use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. But can they succeed? Some of our suddenly enlightened and awoken media channels have been inviting international law experts all day long to try and make sense of this. Israel isn't a party to the ICC. Will Netanyahu turn up to court and face the charges? Will the Palestinian resistance leaders? Sir Jeffrey Nice, who led the prosecution of the Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic and headed the panel in the International Uyghur Tribunal, had something very interesting to say.
What's quite interesting, and I'm sure your viewers will want to remember this, is that after Operation Protective Edge, that was the previous big battle in 2014, one of the people now subject of an application for an arrest warrant, Ismail Haniyeh, said how much he would prefer the court to be involved at that stage. And the following year, the Palestinian Authority granted the International Criminal Court the jurisdiction which they are now exercising. So at that stage, there was a willingness, if not even an enthusiasm, by those representatives within Palestine, the West Bank and in Gaza to face the International Criminal Court. The saddest thing may be not enough has been done by the International Criminal Court to show that the court's really prepared to take Israel on. People may have started to wonder whether, as they'd wondered in the past, whether maybe pressure would be being applied to slow things down.
So the ICC has no real enforcement, particularly to rogue hostile states like Israel, until there's regime change, like in the former Yugoslavia, for war criminals to be handed over from the previous regime. But that's not the point. That's not why Zionists are going bonkers. It's true the ICC doesn't have a police or army to enforce its rulings, but there is a force of world opinion. And that's where us everyday people of the world come in. We have a duty to keep up the public pressure. We can, for example, mount campaigns in countries all over the world that are party to the relevant conventions, like the UK and European countries, to arrest these criminals if they dare set foot here. We can make sure that we never let people rewrite history and make people forget they've been championing these war criminals all along. Netanyahu is just a symptom of the violent, apocalyptic ideology of Zionism. He's not the cause of the genocide. Zionism and white supremacy are. And justice will come for all of the enablers of genocide that didn't start on October 7th, but a century ago. This is ultimately good news, alhamdulillah, and a slow step in the world moving in a better direction, inshallah, following on from an important emergency hearing at the International Court of Justice last Friday, which has many important lessons that you can recap here.